And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How we doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Baseball's got me feeling good. Let me tell you why. Detroit Tigers 13, Chicago White Sox 1. Detroit Tigers 40-21, first team to hit 40 wins. Chicago White Sox 18-42, suckiest team this side of the Colorado Rockies. And I'm going to breathe this in every single day of this summer and fall. Every single day I'm going to breathe it in. Ryan from Chicago, I welcome your thoughts.
Wow. I don't know that I've ever met anyone that hates the Chicago White Sox to the level that you do.
Oh, God. I don't know how people couldn't hate them.
Apparently not. But I mean, they've been such an easy target over the last, 20 years.
Yeah.
Been terrible for a long time.
But 20 years ago, it still hurts, So I don't appreciate the 1919 Chicago Black Sox and what they did.
Well, I wouldn't either. You were a young pup at that time, so
yeah.
It sticks with you.
Tell you what, man, talk about, but the trolls came out for that stuff. Those guys are Shoeless Joe he had to get a burner account.
One of my all-time least favorite athletes, that Shoeless Joe out there. Can't stand that guy.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Oh, doing great, guys. Thanks. Beautiful sunrise this morning on my way in. So
yes.
Starting the day off great.
Serene.
You
were in the pre-show meeting.
I would estimate
yes
that about 27% of the year when we get up, it's actually sunlight outside. 27% is my official estimate.
Okay.
And I like it. I like that 27%.
Yeah, I just I do too. But I would love to take that sunlight personally and push it to later. That's just me. That's one of my few quibbles is that, we don't really get like late sunlight days in the summer.
It's true.
But yeah, it's nice.
I mean, Michigan, depending on where you're at, right? I mean, they've got sunlight till like 10 o'clock up there, don't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm from West Michigan, so west of here, but in the Eastern time zone.
Yes.
So yeah, we're out playing, playing hoops or playing wiffle ball with no need for lights until like 10:15.
It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
Some people hate that. I would love that.
Yeah,
that's great.
It did suck when you were little and had to go to bed in the summer, and it was
still light outside.
Yeah, it was 5 p.m. But other than that, it's pretty great.
We got a lot of things to get to on the program today. Wes Rucker from Go Vols 24/7 will be with us at 8 o'clock. We'll get into Tennessee and their victory over Wake Forest with him. Dan Rosen from NHL.com will be with us at 8:30. We'll get into the Stanley Cup Final with him coming up later in the show. Stanley Cup Final beginning tomorrow in Edmonton, and a rematch between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Got the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up later at 7:45. Take your thoughts in the meantime. 615-737-1025. Joe, Tennessee punches their ticket to the Super Regionals for the 5th consecutive time and the 7th overall time in the history of their program. They win 11-5 against Wake Forest last night. A game that they fell behind 2-0, and then it had a 4th inning explosion where they scored 7 runs. They were up 8-2 at one point, and it never really got a whole lot closer. I think it was 8-5 at one point, and then they blew it back open to 11-5. So Tennessee gets the win last night. They punched their ticket to the Super Regionals where they'll take on Arkansas. Had some big hits last night throughout the lineup. Liam Doyle came in and gave him just over 2 innings of work, and he was electric on the mound when he came in. So good stuff from the Vols last night. They punched their ticket, and it's not total depression around here in terms of regional baseball. Tennessee gets it done, and they will be taking on Arkansas in the Super Regional.
Well, it's double, triple depression for some people.
It is.
So, yes. So now I immediately saw some some Vol Twitter members tagging various Vanderbilt accounts, how's it going? How we feeling at Vandy Barstool, et cetera, et cetera.
We knew it would happen.
Yep. So now good for the Vols. we talked yesterday about Vanderbilt, 4 straight years not getting to the Supers. Tennessee, 5 straight years getting to the Supers. I mean, you can't, as close as it is overall, team quality. This year, Vanderbilt beat Tennessee. It's not close when it comes to playing at the most important time of the year. It's just not at all. And so Tennessee, Wake gets on the board first, and they've got a pretty good collection of arms that they're able to throw, but Tennessee comes up big with a lot of huge hits in that game. And good for the Vols, just setting up what I think is the most intriguing Super of the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really fun. And you've talked about this in terms of maybe the most talented teams. You could certainly make the argument, 2 of the most talented teams playing against each other in the Supers coming up, the winner going to the College World Series between Tennessee and Arkansas. And to your point, I mean, this is another example of Tennessee baseball and Tony Vitello getting his team to play some of their best ball when it matters the most. And it hasn't always been the case, right? Like you think back to 2022 and that team, and they did not get it done in the postseason. They did not even get to Omaha after having one of the best regular seasons in the history of the sport. So it hasn't always been that way, but more often than not, lately, they have played really well in high-pressure situations. Obviously, last year, winning the national championship. But even before that, like they had some big moments in the Supers, and some big moments at home in the regional, and they punched their ticket to the Supers again. So, we'll see where it goes from here. I would assume that Arkansas at home is going to be the favorite against Tennessee to advance and to get to the College World Series as the 3 seed, and Tennessee being the 14. We'll see where it goes from here. But an impressive performance last night from the Vols. When they fell behind 2-0, I was like, oh, boy, here we go. And then they had just an absolute monster of a 4th inning, and you kind of felt like they were in good shape after that.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've got a lot, they've just got it's a very difficult lineup to navigate. And I think a big key for Tennessee is going to be, finding enough pitching. But Liam Doyle, and this is, you can question this. I mean, we actually had, one of our MLB people like in Slack last night, like why is Liam Doyle coming out when he just threw like 106 pitches? And of course, as Tony Vitello said, he's been pushing to come out, and he just came out and just took care of things at the end of the game. I don't even know how many pitches he ended up throwing it, but it was like, man, I was surprised.
31.
Well, how much? 31?
31.
Yeah. I mean, that's not crazy. Some people would say, yeah, you're about to get an $11 million. You're in an $11 million slot. Like some agents would be like, nah, man, don't do that to my guy. But he came out and did a great job. And look, he struggled a little bit recently, but you get that guy looking like the dominant pitcher that he can be, and all of a sudden things look different for Tennessee. So again, you got to still get enough guys, but they have enough arms. Along with a fearsome lineup to win this weekend and win after that. It's going to be, I think, really close in Arkansas.
Well, and this has been a Tennessee team that obviously has struggled a little bit down the stretch in the regular season, and home field, which has meant so much to them over the last few years, really hasn't throughout the course of this regular season. They've not played overly well at home, so. You had an opportunity on Sunday to just go ahead and take care of it and punch your ticket and get there. And, there was a little bit of high pressure on this team heading into this last night in terms of just, things have not always gone well. They've not always handled, some of these Sunday games throughout the season well. And you get to a point with the pitching where you start to worry about it a little bit, I think, with this roster. But they stepped up, pitched well enough last night. As you said, Doyle came in later in the game, and now we'll see where they go from here. It's gonna be interesting to see, how I would assume they're playing Friday, right? Like I can't find a schedule anywhere. So
yeah, it's really ridiculous that they don't, just like in any other sport, like as soon as the games end in hockey or whatever, it's okay, we're gonna get the schedule late tonight, and I haven't seen one yet either. It's possible they could do a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Some of these will be. I feel like usually it's about 5-3. Maybe 6-2.
Yep.
So 2 or 3 of these will start Saturday and could go to Monday. But I don't know. I mean, this is to me easily the most attractive of the supers. There's some. I mean, we got some Cinderella going on here with Murray State beating Ole Miss and UTSA beating Texas. So
it looked like Little Rock was going to take down LSU for a little while. Then LSU came back last night,
which is good for the SEC, right? The ACC has 5 teams in the supers. The SEC has 4, and we know that one of them is going to lose.
Right.
We know that Arkansas and Tennessee both can't be in Omaha, which is a shame, honestly. And you look at the bracket, man, they didn't have to be this way. I mean, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be Greg Sankey Jr. here, but that's tough that they lined. I mean, it's an exciting super, but also like Arkansas and Tennessee are both good enough to be in Omaha. And it'd be kind of nice if it didn't have to be SEC against SEC, but that's what it is. So LSU, West Virginia, and then Auburn, Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina, man, watch out for them, man. They're no joke. So that's not a Cinderella for people who don't follow college baseball.
Coastal Carolina survived Florida's coaching tirade over the weekend too, which was good to see.
Yeah, he's screaming at
buffet
site
workers. Officials and all this stuff. It's like, geez, man.
Yeah,
calm down.
I know, man. Tell you what, we got some coaches yelling.
Florida
some
AD
stuff.
had to release a statement yesterday.
Yeah, we'll probably have a Wake Forest AD release a statement today too. Yeah, there's people screaming some stuff out here.
Stuff being
These
screamed.
baseball coaches, I tell you what.
There's some interesting stuff going on. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Tennessee punches their ticket to the Super Regional. We'll take your thoughts on the win last night for the Vols, the matchup against Arkansas coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Yeah, it's tough to describe the energy that was in the building tonight. It was a little bit different. Maybe they listened to Fish, but I don't even know if the numbers were bigger because it was a Monday, but the energy was insane. Our guys' response to being down was equally insane, but probably the biggest thing I think were guys doing things they struggled throughout the year doing, well, 1 through 9, and then our guys that are just willing to take the ball. I'm telling you, it is a weird deal on this staff to have that many guys that want the ball no matter what day it is or what the circumstances are. Snead was willing to go 100 pitches today. I feel for the guys that didn't get action because everybody was available. Marcus Phillips, it would have had to be like, I don't know. And even Art was joking around about being out there. So I know it's in a unique way because, Frank is pretty hard on these guys and he gets results out of it. But there's a lot of trust and a lot of love there between the pitchers and Coach A. And, of course, there's other people that help out too. So maybe that's got something to do with it, that they want to pitch for the boys and not just themselves, which I greatly appreciate and benefited from today as well.
That was Tennessee head coach and friend of the program, Tony Vitello, after Tennessee's win against Wake Forest last night.
So when he said maybe they listened to Fish, I'm like, the band Fish? That doesn't – because now I had a flashback to last year when he's like, I swear I don't do drugs, but I went to the Stone Temple Pilots concert. We got to find that quote again. It was right after they won it all. God, that was great.
It was good.
But I
believe he's referring to Andrew Fisher. Yes.
Yeah, it clicked into my brain. Speaking of coaches yelling things, yeah, it clicked into my brain. Fish being Andrew Fisher. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know, Tony. I don't know if Fish would totally be get jacked up for a game, but hey, man, you do you.
Hey. Different strokes for different folks, man.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you need to listen to Little Fish. You get fired up before the game.
I mean, I've always wanted to go to a Fish show, and I've never gone.
Hey, well.
Maybe Tony will want to go sometime.
Maybe so. Well, Andrew Fisher has been pretty active on social media trying to get the fans to get out there and get rocking, and apparently they did that last night.
Yeah, his tweet was bring your loud uncle, tailgate extra hard, whatever it takes. I was like, it's a pretty good tweet. He didn't capitalize any of the letters at the beginning of sentences.
Come on, Andrew.
That's my quibble. Other than that, great tweet.
But I mean, it did. There were some broadcast issues on the ESPN Plus part of this last night, so the first part of the game for me was a little bit wonky. So I couldn't really tell you what the atmosphere was like to begin with because I couldn't hear anything. But it did. As time went on in the game, Joe. The volume was working. I could hear what was going on in the broadcast. It was nice. And it did seem like a pretty good crowd last night at Lindsey Delso Stadium, as you would expect this time of year when the regionals come around. There have been some conversations. I saw Vol Twitter throughout the season having a couple of these conversations about how the atmosphere hasn't been the same this year. And I wonder, has Tennessee at home been maybe a victim of their own success over the past few years they've won so many games at home, and you're coming off a national championship that maybe the crowd hasn't brought the same energy throughout the year, but apparently they did last night, according to Vitello.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I guess they didn't have they haven't had the Billy Squire stuff this year. You lost that. You got the nice sort of bar out in left field, the umbrellas, and you're kind of just, I don't know. I mean, there's more people, but I guess that always that's a typical thing. Brings me to a story that I'm sure I've told before, but it just comes to mind. Charles Robinson, as a student journalist, the Izzone was incredible, crazy, Izzone's first Final Four. And then the year they actually won it all, Charles worked for the student paper, and he wrote how the Izzone just isn't the same anymore. But the headline was the newspaper, and it's like a slim headline. It said, "Earth to Izzone, you stink." And I'm not kidding you that I had to walk with Charles. I walked with him to his seat on press row, and some of these kids were throwing batteries at him.
Did you get hit by a battery?
No, but it wasn't far. I mean, it was.
Talking
close. I was like his bodyguard.
You talking car battery?
I think we're talking. Well, no, but we're talking C's and D's.
Okay.
These are some bigger batteries.
Wow.
I have to ask you about that sometime.
Well,
so this is what happens. You have this. Oh my God, this atmosphere is amazing, and then it's okay, they've gotten entitled, and it's just not the same. But I don't know, it seemed to me
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it seems pretty good to me. Now it's going to be really good this weekend too in Arkansas. But again, that's the thing about baseball is, crowds can really affect, I think, college basketball more than anything.
Yep.
And probably
It can affect football.
it can
Depending on
affect football.
Just more for like snap count and stuff like that.
But I still feel like I'd probably put college basketball and then NBA as the top two where crowd can. I don't know. Sometimes there are some college football crowds that definitely.
I'd probably go college football number two.
Maybe the two college sports. Yeah, but in baseball, to me, baseball is like hockey, which is kind of like, if you're playing like.
Also, like to me in baseball, like there's such an opportunity if you're the road team's pitcher to just totally shut them up.
That's right.
Right. Like if he's on, then it doesn't really matter what everybody else is doing. Right. Like if they can't hit him, it's hard for the crowd to sustain that throughout the course of things.
Yeah. Now, if the home team has a pitcher dominating, then that can probably get in the heads a little bit of the hitters. But yeah, Tennessee. So it's going to be a great scene this weekend. But Tennessee has the guys to go in there and win.
What did Tim Corbin tell us about Arkansas one time? He was like, if you go to a place where they've got, hogs on their face, like grown men wearing a pig mask, you're in a different place. I think is the quote he had.
Yeah.
I was like, yep.
It's a different place.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe Cal will be out there doing a little woo pig suey.
Calling the hogs?
Yeah.
It's really stunning to me that there's not been video of him doing this yet.
By the way, did I tell you that I just took a flight with him?
No.
I totally forgot that. Part of my adventures, Mitch Light and I actually were on the same flight back. We took it back from New Jersey home, like the airport where they have like one air traffic controller. And, and Cal was on our flight. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He was just saying,
did you say hi?
No, I just looked at him. He was up there, in first class.
Of course he was.
Or whatever. I don't know if United even has first class, but yeah, flew home with Cal.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. There's just a lot of random things we're talking about in this segment right now.
On. Hey, that all ties back to Arkansas there, though.
It does.
Well, you missed an opportunity. You should have asked him if he's called the hogs yet while you were out there.
Yeah.
There's no video.
Well, I think if and when he does, we'll all know, right? That's going to be a big moment. It's really weak. In seriousness, it's weak.
I totally agree.
Done it.
He should have done it the first day.
I mean, come on, man. You're going to get paid that kind of money. You're going to get a chunk of the Tyson chicken empire. You can call the hogs.
How you think we got some spiciness potential here between Vitello and Tennessee and going back to Arkansas here for the Supers?
Well, Vitello and Dave Van Horn got into a screaming match with each other. What was that? 3 years ago? Something like 3-4 years ago, something like that. Of course, if people don't know, Vitello was his assistant. That's how he got the job at Tennessee. He was his recruiting coordinator, I believe, and, top assistant. They did make up at some point, like publicly, like, where everything's all good. I think it was really about recruiting was what the argument was about. So, but we'll see. It gets spicy, man. I mean,
kind of feels like a powder keg that they're walking into.
Yeah. And it could get intense there between the benches. I mean, Vitello, the cameras just find him all the time. And like seriously, just about every ball or strike call that doesn't like. I mean, again, the camera doesn't find him every time, but every time it does, he's either like laughing at the ump or he's like, okay, all right, buddy.
He did it last night on like the third to last pitch of the game.
Yeah.
It looked like Doyle struck somebody out and he was checking with the ump and he just started laughing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got Frank Anderson, who I think if your strike zone as a ump is not like from the top of the head to the feet and this wide, he's going to scream at you like that guy. He must just hate umpires. I don't know.
He must, man.
But they wear people out. So, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Maybe we'll get a little fireworks between the coaches.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be fun between Tennessee and Arkansas. Wes Rucker from GoVols 24/7 will be with us later in the program. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get into the Titans coming up next. And I've got some buy or sell items for Joe and Ian to run through here that I think will be interesting. We'll get your thoughts on them as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan tonight as the Nashville Sounds take on Gwinnett at First Horizon Park. Pregame at 6:20, first pitch at 6:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. And it's time for a little Tennessee Titans buy or sell here on the program. I've got some thoughts and or questions to throw out there that I want to get Joe and Ian's thoughts on here coming up. So let's start here. And I have made this line up myself because there's nowhere that I could possibly find this, but we're gonna try it anyway. All right, the two rookie receivers that they just drafted. So take Restrepo out of this because I'm sure we're gonna continue to talk about him. As an undrafted free agent as we get closer to training camp here. But I'm going strictly DK and Io Manor here will combine for more than 875 yards. 875 yards. I'm not going crazy here about like one of them getting 1,000 yards or anything this season. I'm saying combined, will they have more than 875 yards receiving? Do you buy or do you sell, Joe Rexrode?
I think you put that at a good nine. I guarantee you there's some people here that are like, what are you way past that? But, it's so easy to see like one of them kind of not really being in the rotation. I think that's very possible. As thin as this receiving core is, there's still, I don't know like how Bryce Oliver, Van Jefferson, guys like that are going to factor in and compare to these guys.
Yep.
That said, I will buy because I feel pretty good about one of them at least being about a 600-yard guy. And even if the other one is just sort of, sparingly used, I think they'll combine for that number. So I'll buy.
Going a buy of more than 875 yards. Ian, are you buying or are you selling more than 875 yards combined for Io Manor and DK this year?
That is, that's pretty good. I mean, that's right around 400, right? 450 a piece. Yep. If you look at it that way, I do
432 and a half.
I do wonder if
thank you.
If it's possible one's like 6-2, or if it is closer to a 4-4 split. I'm curious to see how that would go if it makes. I'm actually going to take the under though.
I think I'm selling as well. I think I'm going to take this approach with Titans wide receivers, particularly young ones. Show me you can do it, and then I'll start worrying about all that other stuff, right? Like, I look at their room right now. You've got Ridley, you've got Lockett, who I think are going to play a lot, obviously. My guess is it's probably going to be Io Manor that slots in as that third one, but I could be wrong. Maybe it is DK. Maybe DK ends up being a big play guy, and he gets big chunks of yardage throughout the season. Maybe the volume's not quite there, but he ends up as kind of their deeper threat guy that, we know how good he was down the field, kind of running those crossing routes at Florida. So maybe you get some of that. I'll go under. I'll go slightly under. I think they'll end up probably around 800, somewhere in that area, which may be disappointing to some Titans fans. I need to see it with some of these guys. And again, keep in mind, I know it's hard to do, but the way we talk about these guys sometimes, they are fourth-round picks. This is not like this is high-level draft picks that they've had. I do think both of them have a chance to carve out some good roles for themselves in this offense. And just because you're a fourth-round pick doesn't mean anything by the time that, the games start. I get all that, but I do think sometimes we get a little ahead of ourselves in these conversations. I will sell at 875.
By the way, it's 3. My math was wrong. What did I say?
You said 432 and a half.
Yeah, it's 437 and a half.
Okay.
Sorry.
Close enough.
We got to remember these. We have to remember these.
Okay.
We
can do that.
We
can revisit.
You do a good job with these every year, but then we have to remember. So everybody out there, remember, 875 at the end of the year.
There we go. Okay, this is a line that I did not set. This was on the FanDuel Sportsbook. So if you have a problem with this line, take your grievances to them. Cam Ward will throw for more than 3,200 yards. 3,200 yards. His over-under is 3,200 and a half. So he will throw for more than 3,200 yards. Ian Safar, we begin with you. Do you buy or do you sell?
3,200?
That is correct.
Man, I mean, in the NFL, that's pretty low for the Titans. I'm going to sell, though. I mean, I just have to, the way it's going on, just a track record, I'll sell.
It comes down to about 188 per game.
I was going to say it's less than 200 a game. So if you throw me that number and then you tell me that he's going to be available for all 17 games, then I feel pretty good about buying. I'll buy, just assuming health. With any of these things, you assume health, unless you're talking about someone who just has terrible injury history. And I think he'll start. I mean, Jared from Spring Hill sitting here talking about how he hopes they sit him. I mean, seriously, if you're a Titans fan, you're like, I really hope Cam Ward sits this year. I want to watch that team. Like, because we haven't had enough miserable football to watch lately. Let's do that. But, I think if he plays every game, and look, they're going to lose more than they win, I believe. They're going to be behind in some games. There's going to be some empty calories in there. He can have games where he doesn't play that well and throw for 250 plus. So, yeah, I'll buy.
I'll buy as well. I think he'll end up around 3,500. That's kind of my line for him, which, as Ian said, it's not a huge number when you start talking about 3,200 where the line is, but you are talking about a rookie. You're talking about an offense that has a lot of unproven parts to it, and we'll see how those parts come together and what they look like. I will buy. I don't feel great about it, which is why it's probably the line on FanDuel Sportsbook, so good job by them, but I will buy that he throws for more than 3,200 yards. All right, speaking of Cam Ward. Cam Ward will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He is, just for reference, his odds are plus 380. He is number 2 on the list. Ashton Jeanty, number 1 at plus 250. Cam Ward will win Offensive Rookie of the Year this year for the Titans, which if you look back through this specifically and you're going through Offensive Rookie of the Year, we start talking about some of these awards and how they basically turn into quarterback awards. It hasn't always been the case with this one. Yes, Jaden Daniels just won, and yes, C.J. Stroud won the year before. You're talking about 2 pretty exceptional rookie seasons. You've had Garrett Wilson tossed in there. Jamar Chase won his rookie year. Did have Herbert in there that's won. So there have been some different positions that have been a part of this. So, Joe, we start with you. Cam Ward will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Do you buy or do you sell?
I'll quickly sell that one. I can't. I got to see a lot of things come together for the offense to be able to function to the level required for that to happen. And obviously, he will have a lot to. If he's great, he can elevate without question. But there are still things that are out of his control that right now I have questions about. So I'm gonna sell and feel pretty good about selling.
Ian Savar, will Cam Ward win the Offensive Rookie of the Year award?
I will also sell. Unfortunately not. It'll probably be a wide receiver.
I like Jeanty. I think Genty's a great.
Yeah, could be him too.
He's the right guy.
Yeah.
By the way, just for reference, like Jeanty is the favorite at plus 250, Cam Ward at plus 380, and then the odds dip a little bit, and it goes Travis Hunter at plus 900 for number 3 on the list.
Okay.
That seems to upset you.
Yeah, it's just I mean, whatever. Do whatever you want, Jacksonville.
I'm buying. He's winning it.
Okay.
He's quarterback, man.
Wow.
He's winning it. He's number 1 pick. He's the quarterback. If he does what I just said, let's say he throws for around 3,500 yards. I don't know. The Titans end up winning 6 or 7 games. I mean, could Ashton Jeanty win it? Sure. Of course he could. And he may run for 1,500 yards his first year in the league. I have no idea. I don't think any of these guys, whether it's Jeanty, Ward, Hunter, who are the top 3 on the list, are going to be doing a whole lot of winning of football games. Like, I don't think you're going to see most of those teams in the playoff mix by the time it comes around. So it's probably not going to come down to like, hey, which team's the best? I don't think. So we'll see. I mean, I guess you could always have to leave
somebody
room
else
for surprise. Maybe somebody, maybe it's Ted
on a
McMillan,
better
right?
team.
Like maybe Ted McMillan figures it out. There's interesting options here. I mean, Jackson Dart, does he step in and play great for the Giants? Who knows?
Sure.
So you never really know with these things, but I'll buy. I'm saying Cam Ward, Offensive Rookie of the Year when this thing's said and done at the end of the year, Joe Rexrode.
Okay.
All right. Gunnar Helm at the tight end spot for the Titans will have more than 5.5 touchdowns. 5.5 is where I'm setting the line. Will you buy or will you sell Gunnar Helm more than 5.5 touchdowns this year?
I think he definitely has a chance to become a heavy volume tight end in this offense. That's a good one. That's a good line. I'll sell, but it's not like you're asking that much to get 6 touchdowns. It's just, and it's not like he's trying to get past, Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, there's not much in front of him.
But I'll still sell. I just a lot of the offensive stuff. It's like, let me see some things function.
Yeah. Ian Safar, buy or sell Gunnar Helm, 5.5 touchdowns.
Yeah. A little too optimistic for me. 5.5 is a little much.
You are sell
Ian's
everything.
down on Titans.
Sell this whole team.
Pretty much.
Sell the franchise.
It's hard to blame.
Until right now at this point, I'm just not feeling it. Yeah,
it's understandable.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, you don't need to explain it.
I will be selling this as well, especially 5.5 for a rookie. You have to go back.
Well, I'm thinking the reason I landed at 5.5 is because I'm looking at the rest of this team right now, and I'm like,
who's going to catch touchdowns?
Who in the world's scoring touchdowns for them in the red zone?
Yeah.
Like, who's catching the touchdowns?
For the tight end position, I think in general, if you group them all, I think there's a chance you could get closer to 10 if you go Helm, Chig, and Wiley and group them up. But I don't know if I can get to 6 for an individual.
Jared from Spring Hill's buying on Helm, so there's no other red zone target on the text line. I will sell as well. If he got 6 touchdowns this year, I'd say, yeah, good job for you, bud. I think he can turn into a pretty good red zone weapon for them. And again, I'm looking at their roster right now. I don't really know who that's going to be. In all seriousness, we laugh about NWI. Dude scored a lot of touchdowns for bad offense last year. They're going to need to find a way to replace that. So I will sell on the Gunnar Helm front. I got some more questions to get to. Take more of your thoughts on the Titans. 615-737-1025. We'll continue Titans buy or sell coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Titans buy or sell? Throwing some questions out there. Do you buy or do you sell? A lot of different thoughts on the text line. We got a bonus question from Trevor who asked, will Traylon Burks touch the field for more than 3 or 5 games? I'm going to sell. I don't think he's going to be on the team by the time week 1 rolls around.
Yeah, I'll sell on that one too.
How about this one? This is going to be interesting. I'm interested to see what you guys think about this. A single member of the Titans, doesn't matter who, somebody on this defense will have 7 or more sacks this year. Somebody. I don't care who it is. Jeffrey Simmons, Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Oladejo. Somebody will have 7 or more sacks on this Titans team this year. Do you buy or do you sell?
Key would certainly, to me, be the favorite for that.
He's never reached 7 in his career.
And so, thank you. I'll sell. I was going to sell, but I'll sell. Even I was going to think about it for a minute. I'll just sell.
Key has reached 6.5 twice. He did 6.5 last year, 6.5 in 2021 in San Francisco. He's never reached 7. Simmons has reached 7.
Wasn't Draymond Jones double digits last year?
Draymond Jones,
I thought he was 10 last year. I wanted to say when he got signed. I should have looked that up before.
He was 4 last year.
Oh,
so
good Lord.
He has only reached his single season high is 6.5, which he has also done twice. So him and Ard Key have both hit 6.5 twice. I think Simmons, if memory serves me correctly, and I will double check this real quick, Simmons' career high is, I believe, 8.5. But I will double check that.
That sounds about right. Probably 2021, right?
8.5, 2021. That's the career high.
Yeah. Yeah. Feeling good on the sell here. Let's keep selling.
I mean, think about that, though. Like, you're talking about a 17-game NFL season, and we're asking somebody to get to 7. I don't think it's a huge number.
Yeah, it's not, but sell.
Ian Safar, buy or sell? Will a single Titan get to 7 or more sacks?
I'll go sell. Yeah, maybe Simmons can make it. Maybe Sweat can have. I don't think he'll reach 7, but maybe he'll have more of an impact in the pass rush this year.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 for a rookie for Oladejo. That seems
high.
A bit of a stretch,
especially for a kid who basically just started playing the position.
So yeah, I think I'll have to sell.
I think I'm selling too, which makes me very nervous about this defense, right? I mean, like Simmons needs to be that guy, right? Now, we've talked about this before. The position that he plays doesn't always necessarily lend itself to sacks, but they're paying him a lot of money. And he needs to get after the quarterback. 2023, Simmons had 5.5 sacks. Last year, he had 5. So he has not reached that 7 mark since 2022. So is he going to do it this year? And when he's 3 years removed from it, I don't know. But I feel like he's probably the one that's got the best shot. I mean, I guess, Arden Key's hanging around. He's never done it before. He's gotten close a couple times, but I will sell, which is a depressing state of the defense.
You need to come up with something that Ian will buy. Like, well, the Titans scored 2 touchdowns as a team this year. 2.5. Buy or sell, Ian?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe
he's making a lot of money.
I'm thinking maybe I should have taken the buy on the Cam Ward yards. Now that I think about it, but
no, I like your sell. We got Brian on the text line putting the trading places meme like sell. Mortimer and Randolph Duke sell. There you go.
Beautiful. All right, L'Jarius Sneed will play 10 or more games for the Titans this year. Do you buy or do you sell? 10 or more games. Again, this is not a hard thing to reach.
No, but that's a good question. That's right around where I put it. 10. I'll buy just I understand how it looks, missing all this practice time, and then he, whatever.
For reference, he played 5 last year.
And now he's got the other stuff. But I think sometimes it also just, you have a bad luck year, you have a good luck year. Obviously the Titans badly need him to be available and be good and all those things. I'll buy. Okay. I'll buy that he's going to get past that stuff and play. But certainly you could see a scenario where Again, last year he had the quad. He's always had the knee. Not always, but he's had the knee where it's just like he's just broken down. That's possible, but I'm going to buy it.
Ian, 10 games or more for L'Jarius Sneed. Do you buy or do you sell?
I want to buy. I do. I do wonder at some point if he struggles again, kind of like he did in the first half of the season. Like, does he just tap out?
He just pulls the plug?
Yeah. Like, if it goes 7 games, 8 games, it's not going well. People are on him because they're like, now that he's playing and he's not playing well and you paid him the money. And so it's like a combo thing and it starts to wear on him. I wouldn't be surprised if he tapped out. So I'm going to go under. Sell.
Sell.
I'm selling too. This is the one I sold the quickest in my mind. I was
Okay.
like, I just don't trust it. I don't trust it. I mean, you got all the knee stuff going on, the quad stuff, and now you got the legal situation. No, he's not getting the 10, which would be incredibly disappointing.
Remember this. I'm the one who bought.
You are.
When he's Defensive Player of the Year.
All right, last one
17 games.
before we get to Adam in Portland coming up here in just a few minutes. Brian Callahan will be the head coach of the Titans by the time the next NFL draft comes around. Do you buy or do you sell?
Great question.
Thank you. There's some heavy thought going on.
Yeah.
I guess I should have asked somebody to go first. Joe, you go first.
I'm stumbling over my thoughts.
Can make it a sweep for me.
I feel like I'm a little bit too.
Ian's selling.
I'm
selling.
Sell all the way.
I'm worried about Brian
I'm gonna
Callahan.
I'm gonna buy. And it's funny because the last two, it's not like it's one guy is that important, but it's stuff like that I think could make a difference, right?
Yep.
Like you actually have a guy who you guys paid a lot for who was complete nothing last year. He played this year. And hey, some of these rookies are actually producing this year, and so on and so forth. I just, I feel like Brian Callahan. A lot of Titans fans are really down on him. It's really interesting, I think, with some of our listeners, how down on him some people are. I still think he's a smart guy. I think he has something to offer. You have to go by the product based on 1 year. Not good at all. Not encouraging. But I still think that the Cam Ward thing, the chance that they will have a good relationship, the chance that he will get good football out of Cam Ward, the possibility that, frankly, just Will Levis just, didn't take it to the field, but that still, like, the coaching was sound. I think all these things are possible. And so I think they're not going to have a great year, but I think I'm going to go with Cam Ward looking good enough and that relationship looking solid enough that the Titans decide, you know what, we need to keep going with this. So I'll buy. That's a long way of barely getting to buy.
I'm selling. I don't trust the Titans to not fire someone. I don't. I don't trust them to not fire someone. And look, maybe we get to a point this season where you look at it and you say, yeah, they need to cut the cord and move on. I don't know, man. I mean, we went through the stats earlier the offseason, like when you're a coach and you get the number 1 overall pick, like how many of those guys just don't make it beyond another year. It's hard for me to ignore that. And I understand everything you just said makes sense. And it's probably the way they should proceed unless it's an absolute disaster that he should be the coach. I'm with you. I just don't trust him to do it. I'm selling on Brian Callahan being the coach by the next draft rolling around.
I get it. Keith says it appears Ian's time with Stilly has really affected his optimism.
It might be.
A straight sweep of sales for Ian. He didn't buy a single thing.
I'm sure those aren't going to be correct, but at this point,
I'd like to keep track of
I would like to point out that, when Stilly did one of his, his going through the schedules last year of the should wins and the should loses and all that.
Our exercise.
I think Ian said they're not going to be very good. I think he had him at 4. They won 3. Ian's got the finger on the pulse.
So you were the lowest win total, I think, at the station. Good job.
Yeah.
Man. See?
You nailed it almost.
I don't know. The last year was
you're right.
I don't know if the combination of the roster with the new coach and everything. I am worried about Callahan. I think he might be a little in over his head.
Well,
that's possible.
Right now, until proven otherwise, he's a 3-14 head coach.
So he definitely seems like a smart guy, super nice guy, all that kind of stuff. you know, but I mean, neither quarterback was able to operate the offense at all last year. So I don't know.
We'll see. Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, Robby, man. Let me tell you how lucky you guys are to have Ian, by the way, because I'm in lockstep with this guy and what he's saying right now. And I don't want to be like, I go back to Myles Garrett. When Myles Garrett's like, I don't know any Titans players. I'm like, oh, exactly. And we had Dan Moore and then a rookie, and you expect some success having a rookie come. I'm like, if NWI felt like had a touchdown every week and only ended up with like 8 or 9, there's no way he even sniffs 3. Like, it's just whack, dude. But yeah, man, I've been listening to Ian for years, and like almost every show. And if he says somebody, I'm worried about this guy, that means he's going, he sucks. He just doesn't say that. He doesn't say players suck, but that's his way of going, this dude sucks, man. And like Callahan specifically, when nice coaches suck, fans turn hard, dude. They're like, this is a beta. We need an alpha. We need Mike Vrabel. When we hated Vrabel at the end. So I don't know, dude. Like, I worry about this whole team. So I'm with Ian right there. I think they're all pretty bad.
Thank you, Adam. We appreciate it. Adam down.
Sell.
The Titans. Got more on the Titans to get into coming up next. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. What is the best approach for Titans fans to take when it comes to how all in they're going with Cam Ward as the year goes along? I have some thoughts on that really relate to Titans history coming up next. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Got a few things going on. We got J-Rob back on Good Morning Football.
Yes.
J-Rob has become a TV star. How about that? We also have Josh McDaniels up here saying that Stephon Diggs is staying up on all the information.
It's good to
know. Staying up all night. He's able to stay up all night and study. It's amazing. I got David from Paris. I know this is not the topic, right? But I got to get to this.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just deciding to just blab about everything.
Go ahead.
He says, think about it. Have you ever in the history of successful coaches in Super Bowl said, boy, that's one nice coach, super nice guy? Yeah, have you ever heard of Bill Walsh before?
Dick Vermeil.
Yeah, there's plenty, dude. Yeah, not every coach is one like, football.
I mean, Andy Reid.
Seriously. Like David. Like, that is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I'm sorry to attack you like this, but like, really? Yes, there's plenty of coaches who have been successful in the NFL who aren't Vrabel. I mean, God.
I consider Dungy kind of a nice guy.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yes. There's you make me go through the freaking, I mean, everybody isn't Vince Lombardi, man. You know, there are different ways to do this. And yes, Brian Callahan's personality, that can work. I mean, McVay is a little bit wonky and like intense, but I mean, McVay, Shanahan, that's the model. That's what everybody wants, is one of these, offensive, cerebral, scientific, not central casting football coach guy. That's what so look, I understand that the guy went 3-14, so you can be down on him. You can think he stinks out. But if you're saying, look, that personality can't possibly work in the NFL. Like, you can't possibly have ever watched the league.
Man, Andy Reid. We do nothing but Andy Reid. Like, wow, that guy really talks about cheeseburgers a lot.
Yeah.
He really likes him some cheeseburgers.
What a great mustache.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to go through all the Super Bowl winners and tally up how many of these. I mean, so let's see. Who are the coaches that are, the gruff, like, classic, tough guy coaches?
Well,
Belichick,
Belichick. Parcells is one for sure. I mean, what is Gruden? I mean, Gruden's loud.
Yeah, he'd probably fall more in that category, I guess. I mean, I guess that's fine. Like, he doesn't necessarily fall into the, chill, nice guy, let's collaborate. Although I don't necessarily think that he falls into the other category too. I mean, it's hard to put it into two categories.
What is Bruce Arians?
Yeah, I mean, more like that.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson.
Yeah,
won it all.
But I mean, here's another. Talk about nice guy, like easygoing dude. I mean, Pete Carroll.
Yes,
Pete Carroll. I mean.
Yeah,
a little.
There are
probably the secret to his success, right? Of why he's been able to do it as long as he has, is how laid back he is.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you've got your, I mean, I would even say like a guy like Joe Gibbs. Yeah. Who's a protege.
I mean, you've had your
Don Coryell.
Like,
you got your Dicka.
Well, Coughlin. Coughlin won a couple of the Giants.
Sure.
He's intense, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
The point is,
different
styles.
The point is, huh?
Different styles out there.
David says, good point. I'll go away now. LOL. Don't go away. I'm just saying, like, come on.
Somebody throwing Mike McDaniel out there, but he's not one yet. So see, but that's that style for sure, right? Like, he's an interesting dude.
Yeah. That's very interesting, dude. This texter says, you're going out of your way to take up for Beta Brian. Guy isn't cut out to be a head coach. Again, he may not be. But it's not because you have to be some dude who smashes your head into the wall and shotguns a beer before the game to be able to be a successful head coach.
Well, it's interesting to me. And again, I never bought into this. I don't think you did either, just because I thought it was a mistake to fire Mike Vrabel. And I guess we'll end up seeing whether or not it was. But it is interesting to me how, like, we spent so much time at the end of Vrabel here, talking about how much of a kind of a hardline guy he is, and now that Callahan's coming in, think about the conversations, not even just from us, from the team this time last year of like, oh man, it's nice to be able to show up and just a different approach from these coaches out here, and everything's all easy going, and they don't feel like they're walking on eggshells out here, and our coaches are making corrections now. Apparently the last staff just didn't do that. I think these conversations just get so exaggerated all the time.
It's so bad. And again, this is universal across sports, really. But I feel like football even more. This, whoever the new coach is, it's usually pretty different from the last coach. A lot of times it's like, oh, let's go with this kind of guy. Oh, no, now we need to go with this kind of guy, right? And then everything is like, oh, the last staff was bad. This is good. Let's just see. Texter says Brian Callahan is a mouse. But again, this goes along with, I just feel like for us, for our listeners, I don't know if it's surprising. They were bad last year, but I feel like there is more instinct to blame him than I think there should be. Again, we'll see. But some people are just out on him, just totally out on him, like he's the issue. I really think that he was coaching a very bad football team, guys. Again, that doesn't mean he's a good coach, and he should have done more with it. 3-14 is 3-14, but it was a very bad football.
It was. Yeah, look, we're going to find out, I think, pretty quickly this year, right? I mean, so much of it is about Cam Ward, but, there are obvious improvements to this, not just him, the whole staff that they're going to have this year if he's going to be the head coach as they move forward here. I mean, and I think he knows that, right? I think he kind of talked about that at the end of last year of, being more of the CEO and maybe worrying a little bit less about the offense and more so having his hands on the whole thing. And, in retrospect, Joe, one thing we brought up at the time that we were curious to see that I think absolutely did not go well last year was not just the first-time head coach, but the first-time offensive coordinator and the first-time defensive coordinator. It was not a good mix for the Titans last year, and I think it became very obvious. So the question is, do you believe that they can grow and get better? That's what we're going to find out this year. Because if they can, it's easy. I mean, if it's obvious 7 games in this year that this is a staff that's just in over its head, then I think we're going to know, and we'll be talking about moving on from them at some point. But I'm leaving some room here, even as a person who wanted Brian Callahan fired after last year, really more so to do with the situation than specifically him. I'm leaving some room that maybe there is some growth heading into year 2.
Texas says the problem is that Callahan brings nothing to the table other than his niceness. Well, how do you know that? Like, to me, he's like he explains things, a nice guy, whatever. But to me, the thing that stands out to me about him is I think he's smart. Again, it doesn't mean he's going to be a good coach. Doesn't mean he can handle a locker room, all that stuff. It's a hard job, but I don't think he's just like, hey, everybody.
Guys, if he brought nothing else to the table other than his niceness, do you not think the players could see through that? Right. I mean,
right.
Again, I get the conversation around him until proven otherwise. He's a 3-14 head coach. So I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what it's about in the NFL. But again, that comment is an example of taking things too far. When you have to look at the situation around it and say, well, if that was actually the case and he's just some, airhead out there that doesn't know anything, how has he been able to move up in his career? How has he been able to connect with these players?
Yeah, it's funny because I think it was his introductory presser. I think that's when it was. Somebody asked him about, there was something that went viral and he unloaded on the Bengals. Like, he's just F-bomb laden. And again, it was notable because they were like, whoa, Callahan. But I mean, that does exist. That you can probably find that on the internet. Maybe some Titans fans will feel better if they found it. It's not like he never gets mad. Look, we saw him lose his crap on the sideline last year, like early in the year.
I mean, maybe the best thing, the Titans social media, like their in-house team, maybe the best thing they could do is just like mic him up for camp and have him just losing his mind on somebody out there and just, put it out there. Why not?
Maybe, right? Yeah, make people feel a little bit better.
I do think there's a lot of room for him to improve this year. Like, I think we'll see I think we'll see a big leap in some of the things. I'm not exactly sure how or what whether it's some type of game management thing or challenges or just penalties. I feel like there's going to be some type of improvement somehow in the detail. I'm not exactly sure what, but
well, and again, if there's not, then right? Like if we're looking out there this year and they're a 4-win football team and they just take terrible penalties all the time and they can't get anything going in the second half, and you're going to know at that point that he's in over his head and it's time to make a change. Like I'm not totally discounting that's a possibility. I just think if you're so far out of him that you're not even willing to consider the possibility that maybe he gets better in year 2 with better quarterback play, then I don't know where we're at in that conversation.
Yeah, if he came in and took over a good team, then that'd be one thing, but that's not the case. Tom Flores, another nice example. Couple title there. Very, very chill. Tom Flores with the Raiders.
More of your Titans thoughts to get into coming up next. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, the game. The PFL World Championship semifinals are Thursday, June the 12th at Municipal Auditorium, and you can be there. Text in the keyword match to 615-737-1025 to be entered to win a pair of VIP ringside tickets. Visit pflmma.com/schedule for more details. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game, taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Mark from Hendersonville says, I've had a lot of coaches that were really nice and easygoing, but behind the scenes expected a lot of the players and weren't so nice or easygoing, which could be the case for Brian Callahan. We'll see. I mean, look, I think Brian Callahan, and I think this came up a few times last year. Like Brian Callahan, nice guy. Seems like he's pretty easy to get along with. I don't think that you can get to the point that he's at as a head coach in the National Football League without having the ability to get after people when you need to get after people. Now, I think, there are some people that do it more and are better at it than others, but I don't think that you can get to being a head coach in the NFL in an environment like the ones that are in the NFL that are as hyper competitive as it gets without the ability to get after some people when you want it or when you need to. I mean, look, this is not the greatest example, but think about Levis coming off the field last year in the Jets game after he rolled the ball on the ground, and Callahan's like, what the F are you doing? Just like screaming at him on the sideline. Like, I can promise you he gets after people when he needs to.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's a good coach, doesn't mean he's a bad coach, but you can do that.
Well, and you're trying to put coaches in two categories, which I guess, it's kind of a fun exercise. Tough guy or nice guy coach. But Vrabel, huge dude, and he could be, again, Vrabel's F-bomb laden analysis throughout practice is fantastic. But also Vrabel, a lot of those guys will tell you he was very much a player's coach. I mean, he let guys do things. He gave guys leeway when they had stuff going on. So it's not like he was just sitting there like, no, you do this now.
Yeah. I mean, I think we overblow these conversations a lot. So we'll see. We'll see what Brian Callahan has learned as he heads into year 2 as head coach. Joe, a question to get to on Cam Ward part of this. So I don't know if you saw the video over the weekend. The Titans released this video of Cam Ward throwing a pass, and it's like broken down in slow motion. And it's this nice sidearm delivery where it's a great ball right in stride. And it's like, wow, look at that arm angle that he threw the ball from. And of course, some Titans fans saw it and were like, this guy is the best player in the league. He's the best player in the league. This guy is going to be unbelievable, which is fine. I'm not saying you can't be excited about Cam Ward, and that's what this time of the year is for. And this happens every year when teams, put out highlight videos and fans respond to it and all that. My question for you is kind of more all encompassing on the Cam Ward front. Like, this is organizationally, if you've been a Titans fan for a long time, you have seen them draft Vince Young, attempt to make him the starting or the franchise quarterback. Looked like it was going to go great for a couple of years, and then it didn't. Jake Locker never really looked like it was going to go great, and it kind of flamed out pretty quickly. Marcus, as you pointed out, had a great second year for the Titans. Looked like he was going to be on his way, and then ultimately it did not work out as a starting quarterback of the Titans. Will Levis had a fantastic first game, had a couple of good moments his rookie year. Looked like there was some promise there, and it did not work out to be starting quarterback of the Titans. So if you're a Titans fan, particularly one that's been long-suffering and has watched all this go down, what should the approach be when it comes to Cam Ward and when to be, quote-unquote, all in, when to be excited, what's real, what's not when it comes back to the quarterback position as you move forward into this year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, you're going multiple years into some of these tenures, especially, again, I think as of the win over Kansas City in Marcus's second year, when I don't know how the heck
Suck up.
It was suck up, right? I don't know how the heck I still don't know how he hit that big block of ice as far as he did. But at that point, I would say Titans fan, like it was probably 98% approval rating for Marcus Mariota. And it wasn't like he was throwing for 350 every game. He was pretty good, man. And they were winning. And then he goes and gets his leg broken the next week at Jacksonville. And honestly, I don't think he was ever the same after that. But so that happens. So that you're talking about the end of the second year with a guy.
Yep. Vince Young won Rookie of the Year and got the Titans to the playoffs the second year.
Yeah.
And then it totally fell apart. By the way, by year 3, He wasn't even the starting quarterback when they went through the 08 season, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy how quick things change in this league.
That dissolved. And that one, it seems like that one was him screwing up some stuff for sure.
Yep.
But also then, well, how do you know that's going to happen after those 2 years? You know? I mean, that's where, to me, like Vince Young is one of those guys that an all-time, like, what could have been player in this league. But so, again, it seems like Cam Ward there's a lot more, I think, like it's almost 20 years later, right? I think there's a lot more just constant scrutiny on even looking at with the team social media stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot more you can follow along on a daily basis more now and that's what these businesses are trying to get you to do. And it seems like Cam Ward, has a great approach and all that, which is great.
Yep.
But I mean, Will Levis does too. And look what it got him.
Right.
It just
only gets you so far.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I feel like if you get to, well, look, first of all, the answer is, like, for a lot of people, it's his first good game he has, they're going to be all in.
Exactly.
That's what it is, right? But
is that the right way to approach it? Like one texter right now
not,
says, I'm all in already. It's more fun than just a doubt. And I understand that.
Yeah.
But I guess, we'll see, I guess, with Jaden Daniels. But I doubt very seriously that Jaden Daniels is going to come out in year 2 and just not be any good. Like, some guys, you see it and you're like, yeah, I think he's just pretty good, right? Maybe we see that early on with Cam Ward, and it's like, yeah, I think this kid's going to be pretty good. Like, frankly, it didn't take very long watching Patrick Mahomes where you're like, yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good. I think he's got some staying power. Again, I'm not trying to compare Ward to Mahomes, but there are guys that you watch in the league where you look at it and you say, yeah, it doesn't take me very long to come to the conclusion that this is a legit dude. And I wonder how long that's going to be. Now, having said that, go watch Vince Young's rookie year, especially the second part of it. I probably would have said that after that. I was like, yeah, this guy's unbelievable.
Yes. I mean, especially with him after what he did in college. I was totally all in on him just as a football fan, 100%. I was stunned that, like, it crumbled like it did. But obviously we don't see everything behind the scenes, So, and that was a big part of that story, I believe.
Yep.
So you're right. Sometimes you just see someone and it's like, that guy is different, like Mahomes. So maybe it's something like that this year. I just don't think Cam Ward, I think he's talented, but I don't think he has that kind of electric, again, Patrick Mahomes, it's like that should just not be the comparison for anybody, but you saw it right away with Burrow. And then again, you flip it around and we've talked about this, but you were not exactly optimistic that Jordan Love was going to work out when he had his early chances to play, right?
Yep.
There was no reason to be all that excited about
Love. Thank you.
Nice. So, but that's not going to be the story here because Cam Ward's going to be starting from day one.
DK in Mount Juliet says, been here since day one. I have no faith in what this franchise is doing at quarterback until proven otherwise. Another texter, JW, says, reserved excitement, the way to go. Reserved excitement.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, come on. Look.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. I understand the history of the franchise. But look, I'll use the Lions as an example. I mean, they were going through the quarterback wilderness for decades. It didn't give them much, but Matthew Stafford was a real dude. And it's still, some Lions fans are still like, I just don't believe it. It's like, no, actually, that dude is good. I mean, your team still stinks, but that guy is good. So even if your franchise has a history of botching these, usually a franchise is going to bungle their way into one at some point, right?
You would think. I got one texter that says, imagine Vince Young in today's game when they wouldn't try to force him into being a pocket passer. Maybe. I mean, I still, like, the accuracy was never great with Vince Young. And frankly, like, his problem would be more his approach, really regardless of what era he played in. I mean, based on some of the stuff that's come out about Vince Young with the Titans since he's been with the Titans, I don't know that his approach and mindset was necessarily the path to being a successful quarterback, really regardless of what era he played in.
Yeah, I don't think you should attribute his failures to other people, from what I know, which is sad. It sucks.
Yeah, because, boy, when he was on, he was fun to watch. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, there were plenty of QB. Like, it's not like every QB 20 years ago had to be just a straight up pocket passer. I mean, there was, Michael Vick was in the league then. Remember that guy?
I mean, Steve McNair wasn't a straight up pocket passer all the time.
Yeah.
Not the same as Vince Young.
Fran Tarkenton wasn't either, by the way.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. A couple more of your thoughts to get to on the Titans. Plus, an interesting story in college football about a quarterback that maybe potentially passed on Tennessee. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Got some tickets to give away to see Lil Baby at Bridgestone Arena this Sunday night. Be caller 5, 615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a pair of tickets to see Lil Baby at Bridgestone Arena this Sunday night. Again, no word on whether or not Rexrode is going to be in attendance at the concert.
And by the way, someone said Charlotte. So that's the baby is Charlotte. Little baby is not from Charlotte.
Yeah, we got told yesterday Lil Baby's from Charlotte. Apparently, that's Da Baby.
Yep.
Lil Baby. Have we determined where Lil Baby's from?
I'm gonna find out. Damn it. How about that?
Apparently, Atlanta.
There you go. Yep. The texter said that, and I just forgot.
Okay.
So there you go. Little baby. Actually, Dominique Armani Jones is his actual name.
That's not what we're calling him here on the show.
And his song "Pretty Little Baby" recently went viral on TikTok.
Okay.
I would not know.
All right.
You're a TikTok guy.
Well,
right?
I don't. Maybe I've heard it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
You and Vrabel up there trading recipes.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. Vrabel's still a friend of the show.
Yeah, he's coming on soon. I
Still
swear.
a devoted listener
Yeah.
to the program. 615-737-1025, our phone number. So an interesting story that Pete Nakos did on 3 about Luke Altmaier, who is the quarterback at Illinois. And Joe, if you remember, his name came up when Nico Iamaleava left Tennessee, went in the transfer portal, and we were trying to identify, all right, who could Tennessee target and try to bring in as their next quarterback. A lot of people wanted Altmaier, who had a really good year last year with Illinois. And it's an interesting quote in here. So the article starts basically just talking about Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava and the pursuit of quarterbacks and Altmaier being a very popular name that was thrown around out there. And here was the quote that Altmaier told on 3 about why he stayed at Illinois. Quote, "There were opportunities for me to venture onward to the next level, but also to be able to play in another program. That's just the reality of it. And the NCAA and college football world that we live in, being from Mississippi and in SEC country, that's a very, very attractive thing to be able to play in that conference, play in front of people that I know and in stadiums that I've been in before, grew up watching and loving. It was certainly an attraction and a real thing. A difficult decision, but I know what's important. I know what's being created here," talking about Illinois, "and the trust, unity, and connection I have amongst my teammates, this community, and my coaches. The success is waiting for me here. It'd be foolish to pick up and start over and take a risk when I have a lot of trust that's been earned and built." That's what Altmaier had to say. So, of course, Tennessee fans have found this and have started tweeting at Luke Altmaier about, "Man, you're going to regret not coming to Tennessee, or we would have loved to have you at Tennessee." So what do you make of Altmaier's kind of stance there where he's like, "Look, I'm from SEC country. It was very tempting, but he decided to stay at Illinois." Everybody's connecting this dot to Tennessee, which makes sense. I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be just Tennessee that you can connect the dot to, but what do you make of Altmaier's position there?
Yeah, it's an interesting story because it basically is saying that, Tennessee came after him and he turned him down without saying it.
Yeah.
But I have to think, like, the timing of this. Who else?
Makes sense.
Who else is all of a sudden just out of nowhere coming after Luke Altmaier, right? Like, I mean, it's got to be Heupel. So, first of all, Altmaier is a good story. He's a good player. Illinois plays that. You talk about a square-headed, just good old tough guy ball coach, huh?
Yeah.
That Brett Bielema. Does Brett Bielema fall into the tough guy coach or the nice guy coach?
I think he's tough guy coach.
Okay, he's kind of a goofball.
He is.
But he's a good player, Altmaier. I don't know that would have, changed the math all that much. I look, I watched a lot more of him than Joey Aguilar last year.
Yeah.
He's a solid player. Might have been, I mean, and there's a reason they would go after him, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, it probably would have been the best scenario that of the ones that we know about. But I don't know that it would have been like, oh, well, here's a national title contender in Knoxville now.
Yeah, I mean, he threw for 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks last year. He was good. Last year in Illinois. So, it's a different offense, obviously, at Tennessee. What would that translate to?
Very different.
I have no idea. But he does have a lot of experience. It's just interesting, like that last part of that quote there, I think is really interesting in terms of, like, he basically, Altmaier lays it out like, yeah, the SEC is pretty tempting, and I think he even referred to it as the next level in his quote there. Which is he talking about the pros? I don't know what he's talking about there.
The last time you read the quote, I think he was saying he could have gone to the NFL or he could have gone to another program.
Right.
I think, but yeah, that'd be hilarious if he's like, yeah, I got a chance to go
level
to the next
up here.
level. Yeah,
but he's talking about, like, how tempting it was basically to go to the SEC, but says, quote, it'd be foolish to pick up and start over and take a risk when I have a lot of trust that's earned and built. It's like that goes back to the conversation of like the portal window and having the one in the spring. Like if you're a quarterback, especially, how many quarterbacks are you going to see just jump in the spring window based on, especially if you're an established guy, just based on like how quickly you've got to learn a new offense, get incorporated in a new place. Like there's a lot that goes into that, which I think a lot of people were stunned, Joe, that by the time they got through that process, that Aguilar is where they ended up. And he may end up being a good player for Tennessee. I don't know. But I think a lot of people expected like a Luke Altmaier to end up being the quarterback for Tennessee. And maybe we undervalued how much of a jump that is that late in the spring portal.
Yeah. Again, going from that offense, I mean, Brett Bielema, that is classic Big Ten football, downhill running, play action, really more like a lot of NFL offenses. And you'd be coming into a very different offense. Not that he couldn't do it, but it's a big change. I'm sure, to be lured into that move, probably a pretty significant pay bump that was offered.
You would think.
I'd love to know what the attempt would have been to get him in terms of dollar value compared to like what you were paying Nico. Because look, there has been inflation, and that's part of why I think Nico and Big Nick were looking for more money. You look around and there's some other quarterbacks making more. The thing that they, again, failed to get is like Tennessee invested in you when you were in high school still, and you were making that money not playing.
Yeah.
And, but still, so if you're Tennessee and you're like, no, we're not paying you, then how much were you trying to pay Luke Altmaier to come here? I'd love to know. Probably won't.
I mean, really, this story, we bring up Brett Bielema, just kind of reminds me of he had an opportunity in the Citrus Bowl this past year to really just punch Shane Beamer on top of the head, and he didn't do it. And I'm kind of upset about it.
He did clown him a little bit, though.
He did.
Yeah, he had some fun at his expense.
I love like Shane Beamer, like acting like he's got to be held back by his assistant coaches with Brett Bielema. Like, what are you going to do against Brett Bielema, man? Guy's 3 times your size.
Brett Bielema's going to eat you like a cheese curd. Just yeah. Hold me back, guys.
Hold me back. Hold me back. 615-737.
Shane Beamer is just palpable.
Well, some things never die.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll play each other in the playoff this year.
Is he your least favorite like sports figure?
Shane Beamer? He's up there. I mean, I'm trying to think.
You're not a huge Dabo fan.
Not a huge Dabo guy, although I like Dabo more than I like Shane Beamer. I have a irrational hatred's a strong word, but Derek White of the Celtics, I'm the only human being on earth that doesn't really like him.
Huh. Interesting.
It's just because every time he played the Heat, I was like, who is this guy hitting corner threes all the time over here? It's Derek White. But yeah, like Shane Beamer's up there. I really don't have a whole lot of hatred for people right now in sports. Trying to think.
It's all focused on Shane Beamer.
Yeah.
You need to.
And Caleb Williams has potential.
You need to diversify a little bit,
And
There's
Saban's
plenty
gone.
of people out there.
Yeah. So
you hated Saban?
Well, yeah, he's the head coach of Alabama.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
You have to.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I also found him funny at times, but yeah.
Yeah, you have to there too.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. We'll have Wes Rucker from Go Vols 24/7 at 8 o'clock. We'll get into Tennessee's win against Wake Forest last night with him and their advancement to the Super Regionals against Arkansas. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
I want to show you the original version of how the hog call was done that dates all the way back to 1932. You ready?
See it.
This is Jared's fault, ripping on my shirt.
Are we doing the big suey? All right, so let's do it one time. Show me it again. Go ahead.
Hell, good friends? I know. Finger real good is very important.
Multiple times you've talked about marrying your cousin. So
For me, that's a very fulfilling moment. Borderline erotic.
But sometimes I definitely notice my nipples.
You go all the way down and twirl your arms and go,
Okay.
woo! Peg!
Pegs,
Suey! Razorbacks! Oh, that feels so good. Oh.
it is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the program.
We're going to get ourselves an FCC violation. Getting a little bit saucy on the program here.
It's all clean.
Yeah, just suggestive, you know. So I don't even remember what I was gonna yell about my kids. There's I've got plenty of fodder here, but I'll hold off because I'm into this thing now. So I've gone through, okay? Because again, here, let me make the rant part of it. Like I said earlier, I should just take the audio from earlier. Like the idea that Brian Callahan's personality is like a non-starter in terms of being an effective coach is truly incredible. It really is. So now I've gone through the entire Super Bowl era.
Okay.
That
was quick.
Now there's a few who are debatable. So we can go back and forth. I've thrown a couple at you. Let's go with Super Bowl era tough guy coaches.
Okay.
Who have won Super Bowls. This is winning a Super Bowl. I've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I got 16 guys.
Okay.
Who are tough guy coaches. Obviously, Vince Lombardi.
Yeah.
Don Shula, he was known as a very tough guy. Chuck Noll. You know, Tom Landry, pretty stoic, but I mean, he's over there with the hat. I mean, he's in the tough guy coaches. Dick Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, goofball Barry Switzer says, hey, thanks. I'll take a Super Bowl on your coattails. I'm going to go Mike Shanahan here. I'll put Mike Shanahan in the tough guy coaches category. Yep. Brian Billick, Bill Belichick. We will give Gruden to the tough guy team, but I think he's debatable. Bill Cowher, I think he's right in there. Tom Coughlin, no question. Mike Tomlin, putting him in there. And then Sean Payton was one I asked you about, but I think you're right. I won't use the word that you used.
Yeah.
But I think that he would fall into that category. Okay. How about the nice guy coaches team? Okay, the second guy to win a Super Bowl, Weeb Eubank, famously a nice guy. That's what's interesting is like there's so many of these guys actually going back were like not at all what you think of as your classic football coach. Weeb Eubank absolutely is in the nice guy coach team. Now, Hank Stram, I bet you Hank Stram yelled at some dudes, but he's also over there, hey, come on, here we go. You
got to matriculate the ball down the field.
Exactly. The NFL films, I'm giving him the nice guy team. You can debate me on that, but I'm putting him there. Don McCafferty, by the way, is a protege of Don Shula, famously calm, famously easygoing. So we're going back to the early days before I was born, and some of these coaches winning Super Bowls were nice guys. John Madden, is he not on the nice guy team?
You would think so.
I mean, again, anybody who's watched NFL films, and I love NFL films, going back to those, look at the games where he's mic'd up. He's just over there, basically the same guy he was in the booth, just like, boom, all right, hey, guys, hey, here we go. I mean, he's on the nice guy team. Tom Flores, another Raiders champion, he's on the nice guy team. Now, Joe Gibbs, we could have a debate about. I'm putting him here. I give Gruden to the other team. I'm taking Gibbs for nice guys.
It washes out there.
It's close.
Yeah.
Bill Walsh, no question. Mr. Professorial over there. Okay, guys, here we go. No question. George Seifert, his protege, no question. He's on the nice guy team. Mike Holmgren, absolutely. Dick Vermeil, yep. Tony Dungy, uh-huh. Mike McCarthy.
Nice guy.
He's on the nice guy team. Now, some will debate this. I think his brother would be on the other team, but John Harbaugh, he's over there like, Lamar, you want to go for it? Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah. John Harbaugh's on the nice guy team. Pete Carroll, easily. I'm putting Gary Kubiak on this team. I'm putting Doug Peterson. Yeah. I'm putting Doug Peterson on this team. Andy Reid, of course. You said it earlier. Bruce Arians, yep. I'm putting Sean McVay on this team.
That's fair.
Nick Sirianni.
He kind of doesn't feel like either.
He's on the goofball guy team,
yeah.
but I'm putting him on the nice guy team.
That's fine. Yeah. I definitely would not call him like some hardliner.
Okay. So let's see. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All-time Super Bowl champion coaches. It's 20 for the nice guys. It's 16 for the tough guys. And it might be close. You could take a few other guys if you want, but it's at least a wash.
Yeah. The point is you don't have to be, as you pointed out earlier, Vince Lombardi out there in his demeanor to connect with the players and go win. Now, you can do – that's the interesting part about head coaches in the league is different styles win. Like, it's not just this is the way you got to do it, right? And I would even say, I think Belichick was probably a little bit different later in the process than he was earlier in the process. I think there's some differences as they go along here. It's interesting to me when you line it up this way. And even if you want to forget the first, 15, 20 Super Bowls, and you just want to go back recent history. Think about it. You've got in recent years, Kansas City and Andy Reid winning Super Bowls, Belichick winning Super Bowls, Pete Carroll, he's winning Super Bowls. You got Tom Coughlin not that long ago in 2012 winning Super Bowls. Totally different in the way that they approach things.
Yeah. And look, I think that part of the hire Brian Callahan, I do think it happens all the time. What was the last guy like? Didn't like him. Don't like him now. I like this very different kind of guy. But I also think in sports, like it or not, there is more collaboration. Look, I've said this before. When I was a fantastic athlete, just a dominant elite athlete, but when I was growing up playing sports in high school, I always responded better to coaches who yelled. Some of it was because I like to I'll show you, but I just responded to tough coaches and I was more used to that. But I think today, there is less yelling. There is more quote unquote collaboration. And you can say that's society getting soft. That's fine, but that's just the reality of what it is. And Brian Callahan came in first on that player survey, which again, I know if they'll lose and people say, well, there you go. That's why you don't hire someone the players like, but it was something that worked in his favor. And I don't think that that's a mistake. I don't think it's a bad thing to look at that and care about that because you want your high paid laborers to like their work environment.
You do.
Now, you want to win.
You again, it's being a nice guy takes you so far, right? At some point you got to win. So that's really what it ultimately comes down to. But I think to your point, what this list shows you is there's not one way you have to be in order to win. Some of it is just as simple as what do your players look like? How good's your quarterback this year? Some of it's just as simple as that, right?
It's let's be real.
You remember the knock on Andy Reid was that he couldn't win the big games, right? It's Andy Reid, he makes it to all these conference championships, but he can't get it done. It's then he gets Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And it's oh, wow. All of a sudden, Andy Reid just wins all these big games all the time.
He's so much smarter. He's learned. He's gotten smarter. It's amazing. Yeah. I feel bad for David from Paris who look, man, you created a rant, a segment, a lot of conversation today, but he says, no mas. I give, Joe. I was wrong. I ran my mouth before I thought. I'm giving myself a self-imposed timeout. No. You don't need to feel bad.
No.
Honestly, having gone through this, I'm a little surprised. Thinking about, I hadn't really thought about it in these terms, but it's God, there are a lot of super nice guys who have won in the NFL.
Dick Vermeil.
Not everybody can be Dick.
Dick Vermeil was crying on the sideline for half the Super Bowl against the Titans.
I love you guys so much.
You guys are just so awesome.
All right, we're gonna punt. I love you.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Wes Rucker from Go Vols 24/7 will be with us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on Tennessee and their win against Wake Forest in the regional final last night and the upcoming Super Regional against Arkansas. That coming up Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Scheduled to be joined shortly by Wes Rucker from Vols 24/7. Tennessee gets the 11-5 win last night against Wake Forest. They punched their ticket to the Super Regional, I believe for the 5th consecutive time, the 7th overall in team history. So quite the run that Tony Vitello and company are on right now.
That's a stunning stat. I mean, they've been to the College World Series before. Like it went 0-1, right? Or 0-5? Right in that.
Yeah.
They had a good run, back during that time period. They've had some good teams. It's crazy to me that they'd been to 2 supers before this, That's a wild stat. Tony Vitello
kind of puts it into perspective a little bit of what he's doing.
No question. So, meanwhile, Wes apparently was up late writing last night. So, it's like, Wes, what do you think, buddy?
We'll see if he gets on the line here at some point.
Should I read his tweet?
Yes, please do.
All right, I'll read his tweet. Let's see. This is Wes's tweet from how long ago is this?
It's like 2:18 in the morning.
Okay, yeah. This is Wes's tweet from 3 a.m. The game started at 5, Wes. The game ended at like 8. Okay, fine. It ended at
like 8:30.
9 Eastern.
9:30 his time. Yeah.
He says, this is Wes's tweet. Walk to the car, short drive home. On radio with that Joe Rexrode Nashville, a little more than 5 hours. I'm hopefully not taking the kid to school in the morning, so I guarantee you I'll be awake for about 2 minutes before that radio hit. All caps. Wake and rake. You're not waking and raking, Wes.
We'll see if we can get hold of Wes at some point here in this segment.
At least wake and bake if you don't make the segment.
What did you make of Tennessee and their response, their win last night against Wake Forest to punch their ticket to the Super Regional?
Yeah, down 2-0. Wake beat them the night before. Wake's got big-time bats. They actually they're in pretty good shape with their pitching staff. They've got some good arms. Now, Wake has not been a great pitching team. That's part of why they're playing in Knoxville this year. But I thought they might have been in trouble. But it's just a pretty relentless lineup. This is not as good a team as last year. Doesn't it seem like more than a year ago? Like Christian Moore just hitting bombs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really does.
Like it was just a year ago. They lost a lot of talent off that team, but they have a lot of talent on this team, and they have a lot of veterans. Hunter Ensley, pretty cool. He got a hit in his last at-bat at Lindsey Nelson. But they just they've got a lot of answers at the plate. And then you bring in Liam Doyle.
Yep.
And he's just fired up to get in there and dominate, and he did. So great win for them. And, ever since that 10-0 loss to Vandy in the SEC tournament, I don't know, maybe that woke them up, or maybe it's just as simple as they just have a good formula for performing the postseason.
Well, they seem to, under Vitello for the most part, kind of rise to the occasion in the postseason. And that doesn't mean that they're winning, every national championship all the time, but they play pretty good baseball in the postseason. And another example last night, look, they got down 2-0 last night. And I thought, oh, okay, well, this could be a situation where we're talking about Vanderbilt and Tennessee not even getting to the Super Regional. And then they just went nuts in the 4th inning. There was just an absolute bomb by Andrew Fisher in the 4th inning. They scored 7 in the 4th. And by the time they walked out of the 4th inning, it was 8-2. And you felt like they were in good shape. Now, Wake, battled back a little bit. I think at one point it was 8-5. And then Tennessee extends it again in the 7th and 8th innings there. But it just felt like a team that is swinging the bat really well, even dating back, other than the Vandy game in the SEC tournament, they were swinging the bat pretty well in that tournament, and they're swinging it well right now. So can you keep that up going on to Arkansas? Doyle comes in last night, as you said. He ends up throwing 31 pitches. So he pitched Friday. I think his number Friday was 104, and now he's thrown 31. So that's a lot of pitches over the weekend for Doyle. How good, how fresh, how effective will he be when he pitches against Arkansas? Because still, if they're gonna make some noise and number one, get past Arkansas, and number two, get to Omaha and be in threat, he's got to be a huge part of that. He's their best player. He's their best pitcher by far.
No question. So if it is a Friday, I haven't seen yet. I guess the NCAA will put out its schedule on Wednesday. We can find out when these games are. But
a couple hours before.
Yeah. You guys better hurry. Better get to Fayetteville. But if it's a Friday start instead of a Saturday start, I do wonder if maybe Doyle is lined up to start in game 2 instead of game 1 of this series. That would seem to make sense to me. I'd probably give him a little, because remember, these guys are used to
full week off.
Yeah, we all think about the MLB rotation of 4 days off, but these guys get a week. They go a week between starts usually.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that continues to go. Frankly, I was a little surprised that they brought him back in there for the 9th.
Me too.
Night. Like I get why. I mean, you want to make sure that you close it out. But I mean, it was
other arms.
It was 11-5 heading into the inning. I was a little surprised they brought him back out there. Now he didn't throw a ton of pitches, but when they brought him back out there for the 9th, I was like, okay. I'd probably save his arm a little bit as they move forward here. But a win for Tennessee. They're still perfect at home in the regionals under Vitello. And now it sets up for, as you've pointed out over the last couple of weeks, arguably maybe the 2 most talented rosters in all of college baseball right now. Now, Arkansas is the 3 seed, and as Gentry Estes pointed out on our show yesterday, they got through their regional pretty easily over the weekend, so they're playing good baseball right now. That's a program that has had some pretty spectacular postseason failures over the last few years. So maybe this is the year where they put everything together and figure it out. And I asked you earlier, I'm very curious about this. What's the spiciness potential in the Super Regional? Anytime Tennessee and Tony Vitello are involved, there's a little bit of that's potentially there anyway. But when you factor in Vitello's history with Arkansas, and then just the stakes that are on the line right now, I think it's got a chance to be pretty fun whenever they announce this Super Regional coming up.
Yeah. Oh, it's like you bring them into any situations, like pouring Louisiana hot sauce onto the field. I mean, they bring some. It's interesting though, because some of the criticisms of this team this year were they don't have that same
fire.
Yeah, that same swag, that same fire. They don't talk that much trash. Watching recently, I'm seeing a lot of trash talk. Like Fisher is a guy who, he's tweeting, talking, getting called awful names, all kinds of stuff out there. They've got some guys who, I think Ensley has that intensity. Again, you're never going to be like Jordan Gilbert is just like, it's just like, you're not going to totally
Drew
replicate
Gilbert, Jordan
that.
Beck.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Jordan Beck.
The combo of those two.
Drew Jordan Beckbert was one heck of an intense player, flipping everybody off. Yeah, you're not going to quite get to that. But, yeah, it seems like they've got that back now, which people hate. And I think it was like – so wait, is Arkansas Tyson or Purdue chicken? I always get it mixed up.
I think they're Tyson, right?
Okay.
I think.
Well, some Arkansas booster tweeted last night about how classless Tennessee is and how the Vol Twitter is all over him.
Yeah,
his
it's
last
Tyson.
name was Purdue. So I'm like, wait a minute, is it Purdue chicken?
Do they have multiple down there?
Do they have multiple chicken dynasties that are competing for the
chairman of the Tyson Foods?
Yeah. They got Walmart down there.
Purdue is chairman of Tyson Foods?
No, John H. Tyson is chairman of Tyson Foods. Arkansas.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, whoa, is this like a family, chicken families that are combining? Are they cousins? Like what?
Are they collaborating for the egg prices?
Kissing cousins? Yeah.
A lot of cousin
there
talk
you
on,
go.
on this program.
Thank goodness. Nipples and cousins. They go hand in hand.
You're our expert for that.
Yeah.
You like that? You like that?
I know both very well. So, but anyway, this guy was just going off about Tennessee's classlessness, and so Vol Twitter's all over him. The spiciness between the fan bases, that's guaranteed. Is Vitello and Dave Van Horn, are they going to be, are they going to be nice, or they're okay now, or is that going to get just inevitably boil over?
Well, look, the fact is, it's this time of year when there's just frankly more interest, more microphones around Tony Vitello, which can either be a really good thing if you love Tony Vitello, or if you're a person that really hates Tony Vitello, this is what you despise. And this makes you hate Tennessee and Tony Vitello even more. Like we heard from basically both factions earlier today and throughout the show yesterday of We had a text yesterday where that we were apparently too hard on Corbin and that we love Vitello so much, and I was just like, okay, whatever. People have strong opinions on Tony Vitello. They either love the guy or they cannot stand him, and you've reached the point of the year where you're going to be hearing from Tony Vitello a lot over the next few days.
Yeah, and if you really, I guess if you feel strongly about him either way, I think you're right. It's like you're one camp or the other. Just listen to like a whole presser. Just like it's just again, if
it's all
you like
over
him,
the map.
Like you'll be like, wow, this guy is so weird, but I love him. Or you will hate him even more.
Friend of the show.
I swear I've never done drugs, but I went to the Stone Temple Pilots concert. We got to find this quote. Can we find this quote, Ian?
I will do my best.
It was like I think I actually had the audio from the field, right? I think
you did.
I think it was on.
If we've played it before, I should be able to find it quickly.
Yeah, like I think it was actually from my tape recorder, and it's like, wow. After he had just like run down the left field line and like thrown himself into the crowd.
Which band was it?
How about last night?
You said Stone Temple Pilots or Pearl Jam?
Yeah, no, he was talking about going to a Stone Temple Pilots show when he was a kid.
I just want to point out
I don't know how that really factored into the whole discussion, but
it's the year 2025, and Rexrode just said tape recorder. So
yeah, that's
as if he still has a tape recorder.
Yeah, that's a good point. I miss the days of the little mini tape recorders. I had this one.
Make sure your tapes are rewound.
I had this little tape. Again, it was this big in my mini tape recorder. What had an Izzo absolutely unhinged rant one time about some Detroit sports radio host. Man, if you could hear it, I saved that forever. And sometimes I would just like play it for Kayla. Listen to this, man. This is crazy. Charles was there.
737-1025, our phone number. Your thoughts on Tennessee taking down Wake Forest in the regional. The Super Regionals coming up against Arkansas. More on that next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home with the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Tennessee wins last night against Wake Forest, and they punched their ticket to the Super Regionals. Taking your thoughts on that. Let's head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Nate to the program. Nate, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
What's up, guys? I expect better from Wes based on all his, level-headed tweets and everything.
What do you mean?
Showing up to the show this morning.
Oh, well, sometimes you got to get that beauty sleep. It's okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to if we take over Stilly's show at some point, like do an afternoon switcheroo.
Yeah.
I'll get Wes. Wes, how about 4 p.m.? Can we do 4?
Hey, Wes, are you up?
Anyways, I am, and I know y'all had seen what I was saying last night. And I'm still pretty peeved about it. We are giving officials outs way too easily. They can now answer questions via text. What are we doing? And they even answered the question. Like, what did people say? Are we ever going to find that out?
Well, no. First off, we're not going to find it out. I mean, so Peoples gets chucked from the game last night, and he is going to be suspended for game 1 against Arkansas for getting thrown out of the game last night. So, Wes Rucker tried to find out exactly what happened. And basically the response that Wes got from the umpires at the game was unsportsmanlike conduct from him to the other team was basically what they said.
I mean, it'd be awesome.
Good. Great.
Yeah.
Frankly, I just don't like the umpires are never, unless they have to, they're never going to go into detail about those things.
No.
And answering questions over text is so soft.
Well, apparently that's the way I guess that they had to ask it. So I don't know.
Was that right? That's
I
not
don't
normally
understand.
the case. Normally, if you
there was a pool reporter there, and Wes wanted to ask one. So the way he made it seem on X last night was that was the way to get in contact with him. He went through Tennessee, and that's what happened. So
interesting. Okay.
So soft. Talk to you later, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, I would love to know what people said there to get thrown out of the game. Like, my thought process on it is this, like, yeah, you got to have control of yourself. I also think as an ump or as a hockey ref, whatever it is, like, I can tell you, like, my background's in hockey. So I know, having spoken with some players and some officials, that you get a little bit more leeway in playoff games than you do anything else because everybody recognizes that the emotions are unbelievably high. And I think it's a skill as an umpire or an official to have thick enough skin to like navigate through that. Now, sometimes you just got to toss a guy. So I have no idea what Peoples said or what he did. And sometimes it doesn't really matter what the situation is. You got to learn how to control yourself a little bit better. So I have no idea. Maybe it's just as simple as that. I think where that's a huge problem is Major League Baseball, where some of these umpires have such huge egos and they can't get out of the way and they want to make themselves part of the story, where I think there's a huge problem with that in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And I just hope with Peebles, like, it better have been pretty extreme. Yeah, because it just seems to me like, Wake Forest coach and his crap aside, like there's you read lips during these games.
Yeah.
You go back and forth between the dugouts and it seems like there's plenty of
There's
words.
some stuff that gets said.
There's plenty of words flying around.
Well, and by the way, like, not to that level as the Wake Forest coach last night, but like Vitello, I mean, you could see it. You mentioned it earlier, like the cameras are on him a lot. Sometimes he's saying some stuff from the dugout, and I'm just like, oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
He's about to get run. And then he doesn't, and it's like, okay, well, it just is what it is.
I mean, Frank Anderson, I can't believe that, like, there aren't, like, league-wide restraining orders on him, based on some of the stuff that whenever the camera shows him. Robert says, might want to do a wellness check on West. Totally not like him to miss the show. No, that's a take.
We do love Wes.
We love you, Wes.
Program. Just full disclosure, we love Wes Rucker.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey, in basketball, shooting 50% is good.
Yeah.
I
would say.
In baseball, batting 300 is great.
I mean, look,
It's our fault for being on in the morning.
He had Tannenbaum on last week, and it sounded like he was running through kind of like the Boston Marathon out there. So sometimes things happen here on live radio.
Right.
That's what it's all
So
about.
we can get more into cousins and nipples as a result.
Exactly. So let's say Tennessee finds a way to beat Arkansas and punches their ticket to the College World Series in Omaha yet again. After what has been, I think, certainly a more difficult year than last year and in some of their other years to get to this point in terms of not playing great baseball, particularly not playing great baseball at home down the second part of the regular season. If it all ends with them getting through this and getting back to Omaha, how do you put that into scope of what the accomplishment is, given all the changeover on this team, the way that things look like they were trending heading into the SEC tournament? If they get through this and find a way to beat a very, very talented Arkansas team, which is going to be no small task, if they do it, how do you put into scope what that accomplishment is for Tony Vitello and this program?
Well, first of all, and maybe it's already the case, but I don't think there'd be any question it's the best program in the SEC, and that's the best baseball league. Now, granted, the ACC does have more teams right now in supers than the SEC does. It's been a disappointing year. The SEC is at best going to have, let me make sure I'm right about this. At best, they're going to have 3 teams in Omaha, right? Yeah. I mean, LSU and Auburn, and then one of these 2 teams. And that's, I mean, I know it's like, oh, wow, you only get 3 of the 8, but they've had better. So, but I think like it would be hard, as many great programs as there are, if they go into Arkansas and win that and get to Omaha at the expense of Arkansas, which has been a consistent power, but also kind of underachieving also at this time of year. That's what program would be better? Like LSU is obviously they just won it all. That's a terrific program, but I think Tennessee would stand above everybody else, being a pretty amazing accomplishment. Like you said, they were trending. You know, at one point they were 20-0. At one point they were number 1 this year. They're that good when they're at their best. But also they lost all those series, and that's why they're. You know, people were wondering if they were even going to host. It was close. They had to do some work in Hoover to make that happen. If they get this done, you just have to tip your cap and say, like you know, Vitello is just, he has an absolute, it's already the case. They won it already. But to follow that up after losing all those guys, pretty incredible.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Stanley Cup final is coming up between Edmonton and Florida. It gets underway tomorrow. We'll check in with our man Dan Rosen from NHL.com, get his thoughts on that matchup, plus a Preds thought I want to get to with Dan as well. We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Stanley Cup Final coming your way tomorrow for Game 1. Edmonton and Florida in the rematch, and to help us talk more about that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Dan Rosen to the program from NHL.com. Dan, good morning. How we doing?
What's up, man? What's up, Robby? How are you?
Doing great, my friend. Did you get to Edmonton via plane, via sea? Are you going like on the back of a bird? How we doing travel this time?
You cannot get here via sea, I'll tell you that much. I know it's via plane, 2 planes, LaGuardia out of New York, LaGuardia through Toronto to Edmonton, and it was smooth yesterday, so I have no complaints.
Nice.
Good.
Very nice. Well, I have to say, like, purely from a hockey fan standpoint, I'm excited about this matchup. I think Florida, we probably underappreciate how great Florida has been over the last couple of years. They're just crazy good. This may be the best version of what they've got. And yet, Dan, I look at Edmonton and McDavid and Draisaitl and just the entire team constructed around them right now, and I feel like maybe this is it. Maybe this is their time. So what do you make of the rematch here in the Cup Final, and what do you make of Edmonton's chances this year to get it done and punch through for the first time in the McDavid era?
Well, it's funny, right? Because I like Edmonton's chances. I'll just start with there. I like Edmonton's chances a lot. I like them a lot better than I did last year. It does go with the narrative of you get here once, you figure it out, you lose. You don't have to lose when you get here, but to figure it out. But teams do that. It happens. And I think Edmonton really figured it out starting in Game 4 last year. And then, look, they win Game 4, they win Game 5, they win Game 6, they force Game 7. They're a shot away from winning the Stanley Cup and making history that way. So they figured out this round. They figured out how to get back. They've grinded through. I think they've had a very professional attitude the whole way through, just like the Panthers have since last year, since the beginning of last year, really. So, I look at this matchup, and I think it's going to be a better series. Do I think it goes 7 games? I actually don't. I think Edmonton wins in 6. But I think it could be a better series, a higher level, higher caliber of play series than even we saw last year, because these two teams are slightly better, I think, and they're more prepared than they were a year ago. And also the narrative just fits, right? I mean, Gretzky in 83 loses to the Islanders. Let's go with Gretzky and Messier in 83. They lose to the Islanders. They get back in 84. They beat the Islanders. Crosby and Malkin, they lose to the Red Wings in 08. They get back, play the Red Wings in 09. They beat the Red Wings in 09. And now you got McDavid and Draisaitl. They play the Panthers last year. They lose. They get back this year. The narrative just fits.
Now I'm having bitter memories of that Game 7 in 09. But, yes, that definitely came to mind for me, Dan. So in terms of Zach Hyman, how big of a loss is that? But Matthias Ekholm coming back for Edmonton. What's the trade-off there?
Well, I think it's a significant trade-off, to be honest with you. It's a big loss. Let's put it that way, right? I mean, Zach Hyman touches a lot of parts of the Oilers' games. He is the type of guy that in this series can take the Panthers game and throw it right back in their face, because he's a pressure player. He's an in-your-face player. He's going to drive you through the boards if he can. He'll hit you in the open ice if he can. And yet he's going to go to the front end, and he's going to score the dirty goals. He's going to do all the little things, get his nose dirty. That's kind of the Panthers game. So he could throw that right back in your face. So I think that's a big loss. But the trade-off is, if the trade-off is, and you don't want the trade-off if you're the Oilers, but if you're going to take it, but getting Matthias Ekholm back in the series is a huge factor, because he is also the guy that can eliminate some of that pressure that the Panthers put on. And he's got a game now. I figure he's got more time. He should be able to jump in and play his 20, 22, 23, whatever minutes, and go back and get the puck, make a quick play to get it up the ice, release that pressure a little bit. He can hit. He can take a hit. He has a big wingspan and a big body that he can fend off players. He can protect the puck and to move it out of the defensive zone. And he can play a shutdown role. Like, you get him, if he gets in the defensive zone, he is so big and physical and strong that he is going to protect the front of the net. So I really do think that is a massive gain with Ekholm being back, but it is a pretty significant loss without Hyman.
So, Dan, I mentioned it. I don't know that we always give Florida the proper amount of credit for doing what they've done. I mean, this is 3 trips in a row to a Stanley Cup final. It's unbelievably difficult to do. I know Tampa Bay did it as well. But how do you kind of put into scope what they've done to this point, the accomplishment of getting back here, and the job that Paul Maurice has done kind of putting all this together since becoming head coach 3 years ago?
Well, isn't it kind of funny, right, Robbie, that like Sergei Bobrovsky was not the starting goalie in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was Alex Lyon for games 1, 2, and 3. Again, and that was against the best. That was against Boston, the team everybody thought was the best ever, right? And that was Alex Lyon. And now the consistency of Sergei Bobrovsky has been sort of the backdrop to this whole Panthers run, if you ask me. But the consistency also across, you need the consistent goaltending or else you're not going to do it. But the consistency across the board in the message, in the style of play, in how this group is together, the camaraderie and chemistry that they have together, it has actually really been remarkable. And Paul Maurice has done a terrific job. Matthew Tkachuk coming in changed the franchise. Let's be honest. I mean, They haven't known anything but the Stanley Cup final since Matthew Tkachuk came in. Really just a franchise-changing move. But then they've had to replace guys along the way, and they've done it by filling those roles with players that fit their style. I just think of Seth Jones and Brad Marchand this year, AJ Greer as a fourth line player this year. Like they fit the style of play, they fit who the Panthers are, and they fit in seamlessly because of that. And that's Paul Maurice and that's Bill Zito, understanding, setting the tone, the type of team that they want, finding the coach that can coach that style, and then getting the players in that can play that style. And the players that they already had, the Barkov, the Bennett, elevating them to play that style, and then really empowering Lindell, Listerainen, Gadjevich. I mean, these guys that Forsling, to be important and impactful players, and they've just taken their games to the next level. It really is a remarkable turnaround for a franchise. It can't be undersold.
Dan, can you put in perspective what Connor McDavid is doing now and what it would mean for him to win this? And also just McDavid and Draisaitl together as a tandem when you think about great tandems in this league's history.
Well, I mean, they're a great tandem. We talked about it before, right? You had Gretzky and Messier, Crosby and Malkin, McDavid, Draisaitl. I mean, there's certainly others, but the narratives of that and how they've come along and what this could mean and following in this, history repeating itself is quite amazing, to be honest with you. I don't think you can put into perspective what McDavid does, because I don't think we've ever seen it before. He's unbelievable. I don't know how else to describe it except just watch him, because nothing can be happening in the game. He gets on the ice and then all of a sudden it's like you're watching an artist at work. Like, he's just incredible the way he handles the puck, skates with the puck, his crossovers, the way he can check the puck back. He's so good. He is so underrated defensively for how good he is at getting the puck back. It's a part of his game that will never, I think, in his entire career, be talked about enough. But he has grown so much in his defensive game. There were times, I remember 2 years ago, I was having conversations with people about, he doesn't play on that end of the ice. He just kind of hangs and waits. And when he, and he's up at the blue line, and then bang, he's gone because his speed is so good. He's really good defensively now, and so much so that they're putting him on the penalty kill now. And it's hard to describe, because he's just a highlight every single time he's on the ice. But it's now, in the course of, as we've seen him grow to being the player he is, now it's all at the big times, right? It's the important times. I don't think it's a fluke that the guy who scored the overtime goal in the Four Nations faceoff is Connor McDavid. I don't think it's a fluke that the guy who scored the highlight reel goal to essentially eliminate the Dallas Stars is Connor McDavid. I mean, the guy's just there at every big moment.
Dan, last thing for you here. I do want to get your perspective on the Predators. It's a very interesting offseason. They've got a top 5 draft pick coming up. There's some speculation here about what's going to happen with Jonathan Marchessault. Is he going to be traded? Do the Predators move on from him after 1 year? They bring Andrew Brunette back as coach. Obviously, it was a horrible season for them this past year. What do you make of where they are and the path to get out of here with what is at the moment, especially at forward, a pretty old roster, particularly in their top 6?
It is an old roster, but it doesn't mean it can't be a winning roster, because you got Forsberg, Stamkos, Marchessault, right? I mean, these guys can play. They're still good players. You need to build under them. You need to build depth. I think that was the one thing we looked at last offseason were like, oh my God, they signed Stamkos, they signed Marchessault, right? But it didn't empower their depth. And I'm telling you, look at the teams that we're seeing right now, right? If that's the standard right now. The Panthers have 19 different goal scorers in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yep.
The Oilers also have 19 different goal scorers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You want to win in this you want to win in this league? It can't be top heavy. The Oilers figured that out, right? I mean, think about it. How often did we see, oh my goodness, it's McDavid and Draisaitl and everybody else, right? Oh, Zach Hyman's going to pop in there. Okay, fine. Nugent Hopkins may pop in, but it's still McDavid and Draisaitl and everybody else. And if they don't do it, we don't do it. Well, now that's not the case, and that's, to me, that's the standard now. And the Nashville Predators have to get there. They have to be able to empower their depth. They have to build that depth out a little bit. And that to me is the biggest part of their offseason right now, to build depth beyond what they have. You want to trade Marchessault? I don't know. You know, we'll see where that goes and all that. But they've got to build out a team, not just a top-heavy group of forwards.
Well, Dan, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this Cup final. Really excited about it. Have fun as you travel along North America, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Dan Rosen from NHL.com, our guest on Robby and Rexrode. The Stanley Cup final starting tomorrow between Edmonton and Florida. We'll react to what Dan had to say there, plus a point of clarification to get to on the Jonathan Marchessault stuff that we'll get to coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Joe, very quickly, a point of clarification on the Jonathan Marchessault stuff. So we've talked a lot about Marchessault and about whether or not he could be traded this offseason. I still think that is a very interesting conversation to monitor as we move forward here. One thing we've talked about is his contract. And we've thrown it out there that he's got a 15-team no trade clause, which is actually not true until the final year of his deal. So Elliot Friedman had some confusion on this, and Puckpedia, which is basically the new Cap Friendly, had some confusion on this. And Puckpedia's, they came out yesterday and basically said they've had it wrong the whole year. So he has got, according to them now, he's got a full no move right now. And I think the 15-team no-trade list comes in the final year of his deal. But for the first 4 years, apparently, he's got a full no move, according to both Friedman and now Puckpedia yesterday.
Man, the Preds are just no move heavy, aren't they? Remember when they never had no NTCs? Yeah.
So, I mean, that doesn't mean that he can't be traded.
Right.
But it does mean that he's got full control
over it. Yeah. So
that probably affects what you can get at the end of it, even though I don't think they're getting a whole lot anyway. I'm interested to see how this situation works out here for the remainder of this year or this offseason.
Get those calls going to Montreal, Barry. It'll
We'll
work
see.
out. It'll work out that way.
We'll see.
He'll be happy with it.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, Friedman put out there it's a complete no move until July of 2028. There you go.
July of 2028.
That's a long time from now.
Would Marchessault be open to waiving that? I guess is the question.
I think he would.
Yeah,
I think it just
the right
depends
place.
on where we're talking about here. So that's just another kind of layer to it to monitor this offseason. But wanted to go ahead and put that out there because there's been a lot of confusion on that front. So there you go.
That's a good
full no
clarification.
move until July of 2028. So we'll see what happens on the Marchessault front. I mean, I had not really thought about it in the terms that Dan Rosen just laid out. It is kind of freaky that you have Gretzky, Messier losing to the Islanders and then winning in a rematch the next year.
Mhm.
Crosby, Malkin losing to the Red Wings and then winning in a rematch the next year. And now McDavid and Draisaitl with an opportunity to do the same. That's kind of poetic.
That is. Yeah. There's another story I probably told, but I had to be I was in Pittsburgh that night because Katie was there on a work trip. And we went out with actually went to a Tigers Pirates game. Then we went to watch this game. And I was like, well, fine or whatever. It was all these Penguins fans. And then the Red Wings got a goal to get within 1 1/3. I was like, let's fart and go, you know? And everybody's looking at me like, who is this jackass Red Wings fan in here? Then I had to watch them all, flood the streets and they never should have won that series.
Is that a very painful sports memory for you?
I mean, the Red Wings haven't had a peep of relevance since. So,
No, not really.
So it's been a while, man. 16 years. How about that?
Yeah.
But no, it's a very
not really looking any closer right now than they've been for a while.
No. It's been a but sometimes you got to pay for being a dynasty, for formerly being the Yankees, for the stupid salary cap.
Scale of 1 to 10, your excitement level for this Stanley Cup final.
It's 7.5.
I'd go 8.
Go 8.
Yeah, I'm about there.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get to 10 unless it's like, basically like your team that you either follow or covers involved, right? Like, I think that's where 10 comes in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, unless it's like I'm trying to think of like if it was Edmonton, Toronto, I'd be about a 9. Yeah, just because like or something like that, some storyline like that.
Right.
But it should be great. And I did notice, like Pierre LeBrun did a thing last year. He asked a bunch of execs and coaches, and like basically everybody picked Florida. And now this year, it's pretty much split down the middle on this. And I mean, there's still a great case to be made for Florida. Their goaltending's better.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they're a better overall team. But this is just more 97. I think 97 tilts the scales for a lot of people.
I think he does.
It's going to be really exciting to see if he can actually get this done.
I'm really going to be interested to see if they lose, particularly if they just get destroyed in this Cup final here, and it's clear that Florida's just way better. everybody in the NHL is going to be asking the same thing. It's like, all right, well, McDavid is eligible for a contract extension on July the 1st. Is he going to sign it? Because I've already said it. If I was him, I'd probably just wait, see what my options are. And that's if they don't win. I guess if you win, he's just going to go ahead and sign it. Because that's really what his career is about now. Like he's already one of the greatest players of all time. In my opinion, he's the greatest player I've ever seen. Now that doesn't mean that he's, going to end up going down as the greatest hockey player of all time. As far as playing the sport of hockey, he is the greatest player I have ever seen. But you got to win. Like you got to win some championships here if you're him. So I'm interested to see, number one, can they win this one? And if not, how does he view their prospects of winning moving forward? What's that going to look like?
Will he be known as the greater one? Is that what it'll have to be? The greater one at some point?
See, this is where it's going to always get into like some nuance because there are some records that Gretzky has that he's just not going to be able to touch.
Yeah.
Like as great as McDavid is, he's probably not going to sniff the points record, right? Like it's just
absurd.
It's unbelievable. It's just, and it's a different league.
Yeah. If you were watching in the mid 80s when Gretzky was doing that stuff again, there's nothing but he is incredible, but also it was a different game.
It's 2,857 points.
Goalies wore like the Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th mask and sometimes stop pucks. I think it's an interesting question if they don't get it done. What is the McDavid 8 over what? What's the number for McDavid? The cap's going to be going up.
I think what's the max you can be? I think it's 20% of the cap. I think so. He can get, if he wants that, he can get it. Now the question is that because last time I think he signed for 12.5.
Yep,
and he could have gotten more. Like there's been reporting around this that the Oilers were prepared to give him just like whatever he wanted, and he took a little less to see if they could build a team around it. My guess is he'll probably do the same again, regardless of where he is, and he'll take less to make some money around it. But I mean, you're talking about the cap's going way up. He's going to make probably 15, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I just know that if the offseason comes and goes and he has not signed a contract extension, that's going to be what a lot of teams are looking at heading into next year.
No doubt. Where is Draisaitl, by the way, on his deal?
He just signed last
year. Yeah.
Which probably makes it more likely that McDavid is just going to hang around there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, sometimes Draisaitl, we've talked about this before, but it's like, it's a great tandem. I think Draisaitl would be talked about more in this league if he didn't play on McDavid's team.
I agree.
Incredible.
I mean, Draisaitl, his is $14 million per year. So you're talking about McDavid's going to come in higher than that.
Yeah, it's got to be higher.
It's got to be higher than that. How much higher is going to be the question. But those two together, pretty unbelievable. But at some point, you got to win. So here's your opportunity if you're them.
And like Dan was saying, Hyman is a big loss. It's nice for them to get Ekholm back. So, I mean, look, I don't know how Preds fans feel. I would assume it's a lot more than not, but I think it'd be cool to see Ekholm.
I agree.
Hoist the cup and play and be part
of
winning the cup.
A former Predator will win a Stanley Cup. It will either be Matthias Ekholm / Victor Arvidsson, who played for the Oilers, or Seth Jones, who plays for the Florida Panthers.
There you go.
Who was probably
Preds legend.
A little less regarded here than Matthias Ekholm and Victor Arvidsson, but
he was a third pairing guy, right? When they traded him for Johansson. Yeah.
Yep.
But obviously a guy everybody knew was on the way to be
a little bit of a log jam in front of him. Yep.
Think about that, what they had and the blue line back then.
Think about where they're at right now. Yeah. It's a little bit different. That's going to do it for us today here on the program. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their Tuesday. Chasing Big Joe coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.